Welcome to Secular Sessions, the show that explores the experiences of atheists in India. I'm your host, Raj, and in this show, I will be talking to fellow atheists from India about their personal journeys and experiences of living as a non-believer in a country where religion plays a significant role in society. Secular Sessions is a bilingual show with a conversation taking place in both Hindi and English. By doing so, I aim to reach a wider audience and shed light on the experiences of atheists from all parts of the country. I hope that this show will provide a platform for atheists to share their stories and for viewers to gain a deeper understanding of what it means to be an atheist in India. Join us as we explore the world of atheism and secularism in India on Secular Sessions. Hello friends, today we are joined by a student named Vikram. Hey Vikram, how are you, bro?
I'm doing all right.
Okay, and how was your day?
Day's been fine, like just regular stuff, breakfast, lunch, sleeping most of the time. Don't have
Oh,
any exams right now.
that's awesome. It's good to be at that stage when you don't have to struggle about exams, because it seems like there are so many exams when you're studying. It's crazy. So how did you got exposed to atheism, or were you an atheist from the get-go?
Ever since I started studying science properly, and then I read about mythology, I was like, this bullshit cannot be true. Like, no way all of this shit is true. Like
Okay.
about since seventh, eighth grade, I was like, nah.
And when you say you started studying science, what exactly in science that you studied and then tried to connect the dots?
First of all, the earth goes round the sun, and like every scripture, like if you pick up any scripture, be
Mhm.
it the Bible or the Quran or the Gita, it all states that the sun goes around, which is not possible because sun is stationary. Everybody knows that, and that's just dumb. And
Mhm.
there are a lot of things like, especially in the Bible and the Gita, like mutated monkeys, monkey men and shit, like gods stepping in, seas parting their ways. That's not scientifically possible. Like in any century or any millennium.
I see.
That's just not how the world works.
Mm.
Like those are just stories that people made up to tell children and shit. Like back in the day. Like for example, you have comics and stuff right now. That's what they used for entertainment back in the day. And when archaeologists they dug up the ancient literature, they thought that there's some divine shit or something, but actually it was not. It was just ancient literature. All of it, like all the major scriptures, they are just ancient literature.
Mhm. Which scripture have you read?
Like I read the Mahabharata and the Ramayana.
Okay. And then some of the things that were told in Ramayana, they weren't true, obviously, like, Hanuman eating the sun for once. It's literally impossible.
Like all of it is impossible.
Well, some of it is possible, like, Ram was a human, so it is possible. But yeah, most of the supernatural stuff mentioned in the scriptures can't be possible. So,
Yes, yes.
which religion did you grow up in?
I grew up in Hinduism.
Okay, cool. And then, did you used to pray and stuff, or never really got into praying?
Like before converting, I used to pray, but like did not really like it. Like parents used to tell pray and shit like that. Like all right, I'll do it. Like I still pray or go to temples. My parents tell me to.
But not regularly.
Not regularly. I
Okay.
didn't used to play regularly back then also. Whenever parents used to tell me to pray or go to temple, I went. Same is the case now, but like right now, I'm pretty vocal about it. Atheism.
Okay. So your
Like
parents know about that you don't believe in a God?
yes, they know.
Cool. And how did you break it to them?
I just told them like all this is not possible. I'm not gonna believe it. They're like, okay, like it was hard for them to accept it. But like it's easier to come out as an LGBTQ in India than it is to come out as an atheist. That's how I'm gonna put it.
Oh, okay. That's interesting that you say that. Because LGBT community is considered really bad by some of the religious fanatics. So,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
it's still easier to come out as one in India because, for example, like if you come out as a gay person to your family, they won't forcibly show you straight porn, right?
mhm.
But if you come out as an atheist, my parents used to take me to temples, consult priests and all, like if it's right or wrong, and I was like, cut that bullshit. I ain't gonna believe it. I ain't gonna believe some bald man with orange clothes and a tuft of hair who probably didn't pass his 10th grade and just learned some shitty Sanskrit mantras and is conning people all his life. That's all they do. All the priests mostly.
Yeah, that is true. Like they have learned some popular quote, and most of the time they don't even try to explain what this quote means. They could be reading ABCD in reverse for what I know, and it just sounds.
Because it doesn't really mean anything. It means jack shit.
Hmm. Explain to me how was the setting? Like you just went to your dad or mom and then just said that I don't believe in it, or did you have to talk nicely or
No, I just told them that one fine day I just decided, told them it was Sunday or something. Dad was at home. I told both of them like I don't believe in this stuff. I grew up in a joint family and all,
Mhm.
so I just told them that I don't believe this stuff. I'm a student of science and this is just ridiculous to me. And they were like, all right, like you can believe what you want, but till the time you are with us, you'll have to follow all the customs and all. Like, I was like
Okay.
okay, but
And how you said you're in a joint family, how did the other members of family reacted?
yeah, my grandparents still don't know, but others were, uncle was fine, parents were fine.
Okay. As long as you study
Grandparents
well,
are
I
too,
think.
grandparents are too religious, so we do not break it out to them.
Okay. No, it makes sense because I don't think it's worth the hassle, you know. And I always say, like, if you are in a safe space, then only you should try and tell your parents, because you don't want to be shunned. I don't think that happens in India, but I don't know all the Indians, and there are a lot of us. So who knows? And where did you first hear about atheism? Was it just online or
Like I knew what atheism means before I became one.
okay? And did someone tell you, or you just figured it out yourself? Like you watched some
I figured it
content?
out myself.
Sorry?
I figured it out myself.
Okay, cool. And that helped you to put like, okay, science is good and other religion is not as good.
Yes,
So, does your friends know that you're an atheist?
yes, all of them. Yes.
And are
Like
they,
most of my friends are atheists as well.
oh, you're lucky. It's it's good to be where everybody is like-minded. Have you met someone who is a theist? And then have you had an argument with them or a little debate about some topic?
Yes, I had like most of my Hindu friends and all.
Mhm,
Yes, and they use like flawed logic and like for example, one of the most popular theory that Hindu says that the Ram Setu which Rama went to go built from India to Lanka, like it actually
mhm.
existed. Like
Yeah.
his name was written on stones and all that.
Mhm,
But years ago, like more than 10 years ago, Discovery Channel did an episode, a documentary or some shit. And it was actually found that the rocks near the area, which they claim that Rama used to build
mhm.
the bridge and all. So the rocks in that area they're actually hollow. So even if you don't write your name, you could write anything on that. You could write big cock, fucking big tits, and still it would float because the stones are hollow.
Yeah, what growing up as well, because I watched a lot of Mahabharata. I think for me, Mahabharata was better than Ramayana growing up for some reason. And I lived near Kurukshetra where they say the battle actually happened. And I went there with my dad, and I was so excited to see where the battle happened. And I did ask him, because they said that there was so much humanity killed that the whole earth around that area is red due to blood, and that'll stay bloody until 10,000 years. And my dad never took me to that place. And I just thought we're running out of time. And then when I grow up, I was like, there's actually no place like that which exists. So, you know, people say things and they don't want to let go of the beliefs. Was it hard for you to let go of your beliefs?
No, not really. Like I never believed really strongly that yeah, religion, yeah, praying, Lord, give me your light and shit. Like I was never a very strong believer in the first place.
Okay. And were you like a rebel in the family, or did they think that you were all good?
Kind of in my teens, like I used to question why this, why that, like why are you doing this? There's no point. It's just waste of money and time. But nowadays I'm just like, yeah, you do you.
Mhm. And have you ever questioned that you can be wrong about atheism?
No.
Okay. Like, what if you're wrong about atheism?
Like see, I see it this way. Like every religion teaches that their God is almighty, all forgiving, right?
Mhm.
So like even I can like till I'm 80, 70, whenever I die, I
Mhm.
can keep on abusing God. I can keep on committing blasphemy, and in the end, I can just ask for forgiveness. That's how it works exactly, right? According to them.
Yeah,
So even if it's true, in the end, I'll just ask for forgiveness, and it will be all good. I'll be in heaven or Jannat or whatever they want to call it. So win-win for me.
I suppose that's how all the crimes happen because whoever religious and they do a crime and then like God will definitely understand what I'm going through and where I'm coming from. But in reality, is that the case? No, it's not. So, you know, I have friends, and then his parents used to say that if you're doing something wrong, that is God willing, and if you're doing something right, that is God willing. So you can take advantage of anything that you're doing wrong and say that it
It's
is
not
God will.
really true. If you're doing something wrong, it's your will. If you're doing something right, it's your will.
Yeah, I know this is the right way to do it, but
Like
people use it as a, as something, and they just pull towards it, and they can do all the wrong things in the world. In the end, their God will
like
understand.
no wonder this country has such high rates of rape because it's all God's will, isn't it? Like God wants those women to get fucked.
Yeah.
That's why these fuckers do that.
There is a lot of high rate of rapes. More than that, it is still really hard for women to go out after 7 or 8. And that's, I think, is not right. Yeah. What do you think happen if there are more atheists in the society?
A better society.
Like in what way?
Like look, a person who is religious, who believes in God.
Mhm.
Okay, like even for example, if we lift all the laws, okay, like we do some purge shit and all, okay. And a person who believes in God, he may still not do a bad thing because he may think that his God will punish him.
Yeah.
Which means he still has a fear. Okay, if he knows that his God won't punish him, he will still do that crime. But a person who is an atheist, even
Mhm.
if he lives the laws and he still doesn't do a bad thing, he
Yeah.
still doesn't commit crimes, loot or murder people,
Mhm.
which means he's inherently a good person. His conscience is what stops him, not fear of punishment or fear of God. So, if an atheist is a good person, he's a good person by nature, by his choice. If a religious person is good, he's a good person because of the fear of his religion or the fear of his God. So, if you round up all the religious people in the country and tell them that whatever they do from this point of time in their life, whatever, their God won't punish them because they believe in it. And then you can see the country descend into chaos. Religious people, they don't even fear the law. Once they know that their God won't punish them, their God's on their side, they'll do whatever they want. That's why you see communal riots and all that, mob lynching and shit.
Yeah. No, that's
But
a
an
very,
atheist person, if he doesn't do any, if even atheists are criminals, like I'm not saying all the atheists are pure and all that, but if an atheist is doing something wrong, it's because he has a tainted conscience. He is a degenerate person. And if an atheist is doing something right, it means he's a good person. Like there is no other strings attached to these people.
yeah,
They act on their own will.
that thing. And one other thing is an atheist would be more aware of the consequences, right? Um,
Yes,
Generally, I want my surroundings to be better. So I try not to go and do bad stuff because it can happen to me as well. Say, just an example, if I go out and punch somebody in the face, it it might be a chance that somebody else can punch me in the face, regardless of how strong I am, because you never know, right? And
yes.
but and the other creepy thing that I find is they say that God is everywhere, which I'm like, what if you're having, I don't know, what if you're mating and stuff? Imagine somebody seeing you when you're doing whatever. It's not ideal, is it?
Yeah, I I believe when I'm having sex, then God is watching. Are we like porn for God? Does
Mhm,
God use us for porn? Does God use us for porn? Not only us. If He exists,
mhm.
every species they made, and God watches all that.
Yeah, it it's absurd to some point. Um,
Right?
yeah,
Cannot be possible, right?
yeah, it's not possible, but why do you think people believe in God?
Brainwashed from childhood.
Hmm. But in your case, your parents probably told you about theism and praying God and stuff, but you managed to get out of it for scientific reasons or because you had science as your favorite subject. For some people, they can't get out. In fact, even if you present them the evidence, all the logic, all the science, they still cling to their beliefs. Is there a reason apart from brainwashing that could have caused it, according to you?
Lack of self-belief, lack of self-esteem.
Okay, that's
Like
interesting.
a guy, for example, a guy doesn't study all year, okay, doesn't touch his books all year,
Yeah.
and one day over the exam, he goes to a Shiva temple and does all kinds of weird shit, weird dances, weird hymns, whatever they tell him to sing, and he's like, "Please help me pass my exam," like, and he would still fail, okay, and and the guy who studies all year puts everything in, and then he scores 99%. Then the same guy he goes to the temple with prasad and offers it to God. Like, bro, it was your doing, it was your hard work, your dedication that gave you that result, not some sky daddy or some shit.
Hmm. I want to confess one thing because when I was studying very long time ago, I was failing in one subject, math, and I was really bad at it. But after failing two, three times, I studied really hard for the last try, and then I did pass in mathematics. But before that, my brother told me that you should go and feed the cow, one or two rotis, and then chant this mantra. I can't remember the mantra now, and then you'll pass. And because I was so scared of failing again, even though I put a lot of effort in my studies, I still went and did it because I was afraid of losing. And I think when people are afraid, they do things like, for example, if you go to a doctor and ask them to for a treatment, they don't have instant results, right? You have if
Yes,
you're fat and then you want to slim down, you can't just have immediate things. Whereas if you go to a pundit or a priest, they have instant solutions for you. They just say do this and this will happen, right? And people just want to take shortcuts and they want to believe in it, so they don't let it go. Lack of critical thinking is another thing. So after you become an atheist, do you have any cousins in the family?
yes.
And are they religious or younger or older?
Like, I've got a couple of younger cousins
Mhm.
who are religious,
Okay.
and one older cousin who's an atheist.
Okay. And they know about your atheism, right?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay. And do they bother you or like do they learn something from you or not really?
Not really.
Have you had a chat with them about it?
No, like we talk about other things. Not that's a waste of time, really. Like you cannot convince people to leave their religion. They have to see it for themselves. Like no one was there to convince me.
Hmm.
Like,
But
I saw it for myself. That's the
sorry.
case with everybody.
Okay. So sorry, I'm still not clear on it. Like, where did you originally heard from about it? Because for me, I tell you about myself. Up until the age of 28 or 29, until somebody specifically asked me the question, why do you believe in a God? I never actually thought about it, even though I believed in science and, fully supported of vaccines before the pandemic was a thing. So for me, it took some trigger to talk about, to think about life without God. And you said you didn't have any of that trigger. You just kind of did it on your own, which is
Yeah,
really
like
commendable.
I told you, I was not a very strong believer in the first place. I was just like, yeah, he's there, and like we should respect him and all that. And once I started studying all that and all, as I told you, seventh, eighth grade, and I then compared it to all the mythical stories, I was like, nah, he's not there. It's all bullshit.
Hmm, I see. And so since you said that it's a waste of time, I do want to put a question to you. If you want to promote critical thinking or promote understanding and acceptance of atheism, if you have to do it, what would be your plan or how would you approach it?
Like, if I want to do it, you have to specify how much power do I have.
Okay. So,
Like, what point of authority am I holding?
so you want to work towards it at the point of authority. So, for example, if you have, I don't know, if you have a younger brother and
Yes,
then your authority is of a big brother and
yes,
you want to approach that topic, imagining that your parents won't come inside,
yes.
it's between you and your brother. How would you approach it then?
Like, I have a brother and I tell him all the time, and but like right now he's a believer, but I know in a couple of years we'll go down the same path. Like, he's a pretty decent, smart individual himself. So he will
Mhm.
realize it for himself. Right? So I'm not worried about my brother. But like if you talk about promoting atheism and like spreading the idea,
Mhm.
then you have to specify like do I have absolute power in a country or a community? Like if I can force my will, then it would be easy. But if I have
Okay.
to go around convincing people, then that's not for me. Okay, like you cannot convince people. Like the only tools, like look, a few people. Like if you take 100, you will find two or three who are capable of decent critical thinking. The rest are sheep. Okay, like humanity as a species, we are only 1% smarter than the smartest ape. Okay, only 1% smart. An average human is only 1% smarter than the smartest ape,
Mhm.
and you know how smart apes are.
Well, they
Okay.
they can do a few things, I suppose.
Yes, and just because we have the power to communicate with words, we feel like we are much superior, but we really are not. Like most of us are not. An average human, to realize like an average human is 1% smarter than apes, and half the humans are dumber than the average human. That's how averages work, right?
I don't know about the exact stats, but generally speaking, we are ape. But if you're thinking like we are, I don't know, 2% different than chimpanzees or, monkeys, whoever are closest.
Yes.
Uh,
The point is we are not much different from them. And how do you discipline animals? Either by rewards or fear. Okay.
but that's where
That's the
humans
same.
are that where humans are different.
No, they are
You
not. That's the same way you control humans.
you can control
Fear is the best
humans.
tool. Yeah,
Uh,
like why are people religious? Because most of them they fear their God. Okay,
yeah.
like most of the people they pray only when they are in trouble. You have to haven't you noticed this? Like most of
Well,
the
I
people
was
who
one
claim
of
to be
them.
religious, yes, most of the people who claim to be religious, they pray only when they are in trouble. So fear is the tool you want. So, like, if I'm having authority over the society, if I'm having authority over the country, I would just simply demolish all the religious places, lock up all the priests, the qazis, pandits, the gurus who run gurudwaras and all, like, lock all of them up, no exceptions, destroy each and every religious building in the country. That's all, and wait for 1 year also, and we'll all be off.
Do you think it is the right
And
way of doing it?
like right or wrong, I don't know, but it's the only way.
Well, I don't think it is the only way because you can. I'm sure it's not
Like
gonna
if
work.
you want to transform the society as a whole, if you want to talk, like if you have a rational discussion with rational people, you can still convince one or two, maybe 10. But if you want to change the society as a whole, that's the way to go.
I, well, I don't agree with it because what you're doing is replacing fear with fear. Because people will be afraid of you that, if say you have the absolute authority, then people will be afraid of you. Like if I pray to God, then he'll put us behind the bars. And that's not the right way of going if you want to have a good society. Because the aim is not that have a non-religious society. The aim should be rational and critical thinking society. But by not allowing them to think critically, it's kind of putting a steps or unnecessary steps in front of them. The way
Initially, it has to. Initially, you have to use fear as a tool, and like once it goes on for a year or 2 years, and like once the next generation comes in and like they grow up in such a society, they will automatically realize like then you cannot like in average age in India is like what about 30, okay? And most of the people older than 25 years old, you cannot instill critical thinking, rational thinking into them after a certain age because their mindset has already been built up. So it's you can only think about the next generation. So if the next generation grows up in such a society, it will automatically be more rational, better at critical thinking than than their previous ones. Okay.
I do agree that it is easier to teach a child critical thinking because they're like the empty canvas and you can draw whatever. But at the same time, I do know that people above 25 can change their mind. And including me, I know a lot of other people who have done that. Your thoughts sounds like you're coming from a place of anger. Is that right assumption or not?
Not really like I simply come from a place like because I just find all the religious people are plain dumb.
Well, they are, I wouldn't call them dumb. They are dumb in believing something without evidence. And that's just one thing. But they could be really smart in some other things. So I don't want to generalize people on that basis. I do want to say that, let me catch my chain of thought. Because the way I'm thinking about it is, I do want to promote rational thinking. And if you are spreading it via fear, then they might agree with you, or they might do the things that you say. But would they actually be learning that the idea is to promote, not to, teach them fear? And they could be, they could turn out to be atheists because if you twist the dimensions, like they could be in the minority that some people are still believers, but they don't speak out. Do you want to create that society in which everybody cannot have something in their mind, but they can't speak out?
Not really, but like as I told you, like I want to promote rational thinking as well, but as I told you, like it's impossible after a certain age. So I would rather concentrate on the next generation.
Why do you think it's impossible? Like, is there something happened that has caused you to believe that?
Like your mindset it develops and your personality, your mindset it stagnates after a certain age. It's very difficult to change that.
I do agree that teaching an old dog new tricks is really hard, but at least getting them to accept that there is atheism and you should let people do whatever you want to do. That is a big acceptance. I don't mind people who pray or, they can pray to whoever as long as they don't push their religion to others.
No,
They,
I mind the existence of religious places, like
okay.
religious buildings. You know, like
Mhm.
one can build a shrine at their home, one can pray at their home, but I do mind the existence of places of pilgrimage or temples and mosques.
Why is that?
First thing, they earn in like millions or some shit. Okay, like most of these temple trusts and all, they are fucking millionaires and they don't pay
Yeah.
any taxes. Taking from the society, not really giving anything back, and they are fucking incompetent, illiterate fucks. Okay, incompetent, illiterate, degenerate pieces of fucks, all of those pundits and qazis and all that. And like they don't deserve to hold such position of power and all that in the society. So
Okay. So
it,
are
we are not
you,
supposed to be we are not supposed to be controlled by idiots, right?
well, I agree that some of the priests hold really high power. And like, for example, Ramdev have done so many bad stuff, but because of his power and his following, nobody has put any action on him. I do agree that. But at the same time, what, like, I'm trying to understand your point of view because you are saying that these things are bad, but at the same time, you're saying that we should put the religious people behind bars, which kind of,
No, I never said we should put religious people behind bars. I
sorry,
said we
priests.
should put preachers behind bars.
Yeah, preachers. I apologize. You said preachers behind bars. But the way I say it is because some preachers do actually believe their hype, right? They could genuinely believe that they are doing the right thing. Not the popular ones that comes on social media because they get famous due to the negative comments that they pass, most of them anyways. But some genuinely teach just a person to be, nice. And I don't think you can put everyone behind bars. Some of
Look,
them, yeah, sure.
some, some terrorists, some jihadis,
Hmm.
they too feel they are doing the right thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, I
actually they
do.
are not. So same goes with these preachers, right? Like first of all, you have to realize they are illiterate, they are incompetent, and there is no real contribution they can give to the society, right? If you, for example, if you remove their religion, if you remove their preaching, okay, and then tell them to do a job, set up a shop, or do anything like fucking clean a house or some shit, they won't be able to do, okay? Like even if you tell them not to do a job, just be like a house, like uh, just help around in their houses. Like let the other people in their home go for jobs and they should help around in the houses. Even they cannot do that as well.
Mhm.
Okay. So they're not contributing anything really. And as you know that's why they preach and tell people to do this, do that, to pray. Because themselves all their lives that's all they have done. They use it as a business, all of them.
Most
Because
of
they cannot
them.
do anything else. Yes.
Yes. So again, yes, some of them, some of the things that you're saying are really, on point. I don't disagree with that. But I'm just trying to understand, like, you sound angry at them. Is there a reason, like, just because they don't contribute with the society? Because an average atheist, a person who just doesn't believe in God, they might not be able to contribute in society as well.
Yeah, but you don't exactly know about them, na, like until unless you meet them or you see them. Like, but being a preacher,
Mhm.
it rise, it comes from a place of incompetence. Like you cannot do absolutely anything else. That's why you become a preacher. Like even atheist can be a stoner or drunkard lying in a sewer or some shit. An atheist can be a CEO of a company. An atheist can be a banker. But a preacher, someone who preaches, okay, like a priest or a pope or a Kazi.
Mhm.
That person he cannot do one other thing other than preaching. That's the only thing he can do.
I see. Do you think religion could have any positive impact these days?
I don't see one.
Okay.
The root cause of all the major battles, all of the major genocides, has been religion.
Mhm.
So, nah. Religion has always had a negative impact, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm. Well, nowadays it's slightly different. Some are political as well. But I do understand in the past, religion has caused more war than peace, ironically. And the one benefit of religion that I see is religion is really good at motivating people and bringing them together as a community, whereas atheism at the moment doesn't have that. Like religion, if say you have to come here and get together, everybody will do that, or most of them will do that. in atheism or in secular thinking, it like, oh, we have a get together. Do you want to come along? Some turn up and some don't. So it doesn't have the same binding power. Um, do you think that making community is something that we can learn from religion?
Like a community should be of like-minded people. Okay, like most of the atheists, they are not like-minded apart from their belief that they don't believe in God. Like there can be many differences between atheists. Also, there are many differences between religious people also. So, like people who hold the same positions, same income group, same same thought, same thought process for developing the society and all that. Like they should be the ones who form a community, not according to your religious beliefs. Even if you don't believe, or even if you believe,
Mhm.
that should not be the basis of forming a community or society. It should be
Okay.
much broader. The parameter should be much broader.
Yeah, but like-minded can be from, I don't know, little things like a guitar club or piano club or something, right?
Yes, like but on a larger scale, like if you see people of different religions. Like I'm not talking about the bigger cities. I'm talking about the tier two, tier three cities or the towns and villages. Like you won't see most of the societies. They have people of different religions. Only people of one religion they live in one area, one religion live in other areas, and most of the people of the same religion living in one area. They
Mhm.
have nothing in common with each other apart from their religion. You might have common with some Muslim guy or some Sikh guy, but you are not living with him because him or her because society doesn't will so.
The question that popped up in my mind is if I can provide you an evidence-based thing that we can convert people's mind, or not convert people's mind, but get them to think critically about atheism, about their theism in a polite manner. Would you like to follow that?
Yes, I must.
Because that's what I want to know. Because a lot of the religious people are really stubborn-minded, even though you provide them evidence or logic, they don't want to change their ways, right? But what I would want my secular society to look like, or the people I interact with, that they could have very strong beliefs in whatever. But if you provide them evidence, or if you can find like there is a better way of doing things, then we should agree with it.
Yes,
Uh,
but the problem with most of the religious people is they outright reject the evidence,
Yeah,
isn't it?
because they believe in that thing not logically, they believe in it emotionally. And with emotions, it's really hard to let go of.
As I said, like a rational person will find it easier to let go of their emotions when presented with logic. But most of the people they are not rational. Like if you pick out 100 people, a
Mhm.
100 random sample space, and only two or three they would be rational people. Rest for like 95 to 97, they are all mostly driven by emotions and shit. They may be highly educated. Many of them may be holding high positions of power. Mm, One can be an IAS or CEO at a company, but
Mhm.
still,
Yeah. So just to take it in a different manner, have you have you had a crush?
have I had a
Crush, like did you fall in love with someone?
yes? Like I don't believe in the idea of love and all that, but yes, I've had a girlfriend.
Well, let's say infatuation, like you really liked this person and you wanted to know them better and be with them, right?
Yes,
And now this is tied with your emotions, not logically, because I'm sure there'll be prettier person than them, or there'll be nicer person than them. It really depends on, it's a very subjective thing, falling in love. And if have you confessed your love with them or not really?
yes, I had.
And what was the result, if you don't mind me asking?
Like this one time, like it was way back in sixth grade,
Mhm.
and then I told her, and then she rejected me, and I didn't really feel anything because I was a kid, like I was like meh.
Okay, so
And then like after 12th grade, that's when I made my first girlfriend. and we had to live in a long distance, and it really didn't work out. So that's only two instances, and
Okay.
I haven't really felt overwhelmed in love or whatever they call it. I've really felt that way.
Okay. Then perhaps my example won't work. Just what I was trying to get at is sometime when you fall in love, it's really hard to let go of that person because you're emotionally tied to them. You can have all the logical answers why you should leave that person and
Like
why it will be better.
after my breakup, like it was hard for me after my breakup, but like to get over, I fucked the prostitute.
Sorry, what was that?
To get over my breakup, I fucked the prostitute.
Uh,
I was like, all right, now I'm ready to move on.
well, I don't know, man. I try not to go that far because it's not legalized in India. And then there is a lot of other connotations around it. So I don't want to take risk with my health personally.
Like this will have to be trimmed from the video.
No, I'll leave it in the video because the sexual things needs to be addressed as well. We are growing, and a lot of the time, children aren't taught about sexual education, and I think
All
that's
right, but
why.
I don't really mind.
Sorry?
I don't really mind.
No, you don't. But what happens in the society, or this is just my observation, is because men generally, not saying in high society and stuff, but a middle class or lower class, men or boys are generally told you have to stay away from the girl because until you get married to a girl, then only you can do whatever. And it becomes a really taboo for them. If I'm with
Like
in a room
these
with
things,
you,
like when in India, this notion is currently changing.
it is changing, but at a very, very slow pace.
Yes. Like for example, like my parents they allow me to have a relationship, but like they would get angry. I don't know what they would do if they found out how I moved on.
No, I could understand that some of the families are really open. Not a lot of families are. Like I have met the families who are really open and don't care if a girl bring a guy over or a guy bring a girl over. It's sort of considered normal if you're just above 18, right? That some
Like no,
parents
I'm not allowed to bring someone over. I'm allowed to do whatever I do want outside, not
just don't
inside.
tell them.
Like, as I told you, joint family man. Come on.
Yeah, I've seen joint families, and then my friend who was from really high modern family, he used to bring his girlfriend over, and that was all good. But what I was trying to get at is if you tell someone don't mingle with anyone, you become curious because human nature is really curious about things. And
Yes.
you make it like that as if this is something different and you have to have that because that's why your parents are stopping you from that. And I think it comes to a point when some men feel really defeated and they can't approach a girl. They think that girl is something magical or like a unicorn.
Like that's why most Indian men are incels. Like even after marriage, they were fucking incels. Like they have babies and all that shit, but still,
Well, that is true in some sense. But yeah, this is what's causing, sexual education to lean back. Most of the people at 18-year-old still think their dick is not a multi-purpose tool. They just still think that it's just used for one thing, which is peeing. And I remember in my science class in a school, there was a chapter of reproduction, and then there was a topic of how do you stop the spread of sexually transmitted diseases or infections. And my teacher didn't even say the word condom properly. She said wear condoms, and I was like, "What the hell is a condom?" And
oh
the
god, like I went to a like, pretty decent school, not a very good one, but pretty decent school where teachers used to tell us about these things. So like I was in eighth grade and they asked how do you stop this spread and all that, and I raised my hand and I said, "Sir, you got to pull out." And you're like, get the fuck out of here.
And if I was a teacher, and to be honest, because I'm very condescending in some cases, if I wanted to get hold of the class and you sound a bit mischievous, which is fine, I would have
Yeah,
either
like
laughed.
I genuinely thought that's the way. I was in eighth grade, like I just got introduced to that stuff, and I was like, yeah, this must be a method.
Mm. Yeah, but
I sincerely said, sir, like you got to pull out and all that. So he was like, no,
well, it is
sit the
God's
fuck
gift,
down.
right? So you don't have to pull out. So yeah, no, we are digressed way too much from the topic. Well, it's a fun topic to discuss. And if I come to you and say that there is an evidence for a higher power, would you start believing that God?
Like I would like to see the evidence first and
Mhm.
analyze it myself
Okay,
because trust me, I've heard about a lot of evidence. I've seen a lot of pictures and videos, and like they've all been very easy to debunk. So,
that is true. And so you will analyze the evidence, and if the evidence is up to your standard, whatever critical thinking you want to apply, and it proves that God exists, would you start believing in
probably, yeah. Like as I said, ask for forgiveness, and I'll be forgiven for all the blasphemy. And
it?
it's a win-win situation being an atheist. Like even if you're proven wrong at the end of the day, you
Hmm.
can always ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm similar to you in that regards that I would like to analyze the evidence. I may not worship that God. That's a different story because it has caused more harm than good. It has caused people to be more violent than they need to be. It has got critical thinking way out of the home for everyone. So I like to promote critical thinking. Before we finish our conversation, Vikram, and we did have a very good chat. Any last thing that you want to say to our audience?
Like not really.
Okay, I'll just put it there. But as on my channel, I always say is, let us think, and you can call me atheist.